Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Orlando. Welcome to my channel. And as you might have already guessed by the title and thumbnail, we're going to be talking about a very controversial subject right now in the world of football, the Ballon d'Or. So let's get right into it. Who are the possible winners of this Ballon d'Or, and who do I think should win the Ballon d'Or? So the four that I have in mind immediately is Bellingham, Carvajal, Vinny, and Rodri. Let's start off eliminating somebody who I think is not gonna win it because they just don't deserve it. Carvajal. Now Carvajal, I'm a Madridista, but Carvajal just had a really good season, but he was the weakest link in that Euro final, and he wasn't our best player against Dortmund. Bournemouth. Bournemouth. Okay, so that's why I just think why Carvajal. He just was not it. Well, he was it, but he wasn't the best player, the most determining player. So let's get him out of the way. Now, Rodri. Rodri, phenomenal and was incredible at City once again because every season he's incredible with City. But, in a team that is so stacked and everything, how much do you really give him credit? Because it's a really, really incredibly stacked, which he performed really good, as well as in Spain. In Spain, he performed incredibly good, but it comes down to the flair players, the people who score the goals, the people who changes everything that end up winning it, right? So by that logic, I doubt Roger would win it. I really highly doubt it. So it comes down to Bellingham and Vinicius. So this is gonna be the body of the video because there's very good arguments for both of them. So let's start with Bellingham. Bellingham at the start of the season when Vinny was out for a light injury, he took the team and carried it. Not being a striker, not being a center forward, not being a cam. He took the team and carried it to victory by scoring goals and goals on goals on goals. I mean, he at one point was tied with Cristiano Ronaldo for the amount of goals scored in the opening 15 games, I believe. 15 or 14 games, which was 14 goals, I believe. I think it was 15 games, 14 goals, which is insane for a center mid. Are you kidding me? And a 21-year-old first season with Real Madrid. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And he carried that Real Madrid team. That's the reality. On top of that, with the injuries to Alaba, the injuries to Militao, the injury crisis that we suffered, I mean, he came up like he was the savior. He was the man. He was the man for Real Madrid. However, it seemed like his goals started to be less towards the second half of the season. Understandable. I mean, he's a center mid. He's not a center forward or a cam, as I said. And Vinny was coming back. Vinny was taking up against the spotlight that he left for Bellingham to shine. So Bellingham kind of took like a secondary role, which he was okay with because he wasn't supposed to be that star figure, right? He was not supposed to be the goal scorer for Real Madrid. That goal scoring position was for Vinny, even Joselu at sometimes. I wasn't expecting him to be a goal scorer, but to score some goals, yes, Joselu and Rodrigo. Rodrigo. So you weren't even supposed to come in to be an attacking player. But the circumstances presented himself, and Bellingham took the opportunity to play into that position that he was given, right? So he slowed down, and a lot of people are gonna say that he ghosted. However, I don't think he ghosted. He just played his game. He played to feed Rodrigo, to feed Vinicius, to feed them goals. He was tracking back a lot more. He was running a lot more. He was just a more team player and a less of a goal scorer, as he is, because he's a center mid. I can't stop stressing that enough. So a lot of people use that against them to demonstrate why he's not a Ballon d'Or candidate, saying that he ghosted in the Champions League and everything. But as I said, Vinny, those Champions League knockout games, Vinny was fundamental. He was crucial. He was insane. And why was that? Because Bellingham stepped back and gave Vinny his spot. Because that was Vinny's spot. Being the leader, being not being the leader, being the main focal point of the attack. So for some reason they discredit Bellingham. For England, he played at the cam position, and Southgate made him look like the main guy. So he took up that role that he took up with Real Madrid because Kane wasn't having it, Foden wasn't having it, Saka wasn't having it, nobody was having it. And he had to come in and score late winners, score wonder goals, and carry England to the final. That's the reality. A lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, there's too much focus. Oh, Bellingham was trying to do everything himself." I mean, when you have a player like Foden, who's apparently playing in the wrong side, right? He was playing on the wrong side, but who doesn't demand the ball at all, and a Kane who just was out of form completely, and Saka who was okay. He wasn't bad. He was okay. You have to put that. You need a player that's gonna put the team to their up onto their shoulders. You don't want a Foden who doesn't want the ball. You don't want a Kane who is unable to find where he's supposed to play. You don't want a Saka who is also lost without having a striker. You want a player who is gonna want the ball to their feet and demand for it and try a long shot. Ask for it on a cross. Fight for the cross and looking to score. You want a player like that. And Bellingham showed it. Bellingham showed it, and he had incredible Euros for himself. For England, not, but for himself it was. And people are always gonna say, "Oh, he ghosted, he ghosted, he ghosted." What he played once again when Foden was played on the at the cam position. He was all right. Let Foden have his time, shine bright. Let me let Foden shine bright, and I'll drop back and be more defensive and be less on the attacking game because Foden was gonna generate. But Foden generated less than what Bellingham did. Less than what Bellingham did. And they want to pin it on Bellingham and nothing on Foden. A lot of people are just think Foden can't do anything wrong, which is incredible because he did nothing. He did nothing. And Bellingham playing on that left wing, which is not his position, mind you. Foden at least has touched that position before. Bellingham did more than Foden on the left side than what Foden did the entire tournament. So at the end of the day, Foden Foden just showed us that he's just not that guy because a quality player will try to make something happen no matter where he's positioned, no matter who he has in front of him. And we saw that with Saka. Saka was taking on players, trying to get the ball into the box even though there was nobody up there. Kane was just struggling around, once again proving to us he's just not a top 10 striker of all time. He's a good striker against smaller teams. That's the reality. Who scores a lot, who's very prolific against small teams. But when he touches against a good team, he shits himself. And Foden showed us that the city system kind of shields players and doesn't allow them. It's not Foden's fault, right? But it doesn't really allow them to adapt to situations because they're always on control. So Foden never had to adapt to playing on the left wing. And if he had the capability to play on the left wing before, it got stripped by him by Pep Guardiola. And it's not on Foden's fault. What's on Foden's fault? What it's just the quality of a player that wants the ball and wants to make something out of it. Foden lacks that. Foden lacks that, sadly. And in City, you can shine because plays to his strengths. But a truly quality player, a truly a true player who you can see going far, is a player like Bellingham who, no matter where he plays, he's gonna put in effort, a shift, and gonna want the ball and wants to do something with it. So that's my rant with Bellingham and England. Overall, he had an incredible tournament, very Ballon d'Or worthy. Now Vinny, as I said, started off the season a bit injured, but he came on and he picked it up. He picked it up, and that towards that second half of the season, I mean, he was ripping teams apart in La Liga and ripping teams apart in Champions League against the best right backs, against the Walkers, against the Joshua Kimmiches. Incredible performances from Vinny, scoring goals left and right, giving assists left and right. He just was unplayable that second half of the season. Unplayable. And that ultimately culminated in a goal in the Champions League final to put Real Madrid up after being constantly pinned down by a Dortmund side who really wanted to win this game in that first half. But when you let Real Madrid live, you're gonna have a player like Vinny and Bellingham combined, because it was a Bellingham pass, and I think it was a Valverde steal or a Rodrigo steal. You're gonna have one of them players, one of those plays happened, and to Real Madrid, that's a goal on the platter, and Vinny used it and made it happen. Now Vinny, the Copa America was a very disappointing Vinicius, a very disappointing Brazil, to keep it short. It was a very disappointed performance. In all honesty, it's a pretty big hit. It's a pretty big hit to Vinicius's Ballon d'Or aspirations, because to start off the season injured, that's already a knockoff, because you didn't play the entire season uninjured. And you could argue the same as Bellingham, right? He went out for like what, 3 weeks. But it took some time for Benny to pick up that form. However, you can argue that he picked up the form when the most mattered. When was the Champions League knockout stages against the biggest teams in the world, the Cities and Bayerns, and performed in arguably the most. He did one of the best performances in a Champions League final that I've seen, and I'm pretty young, so bear with me now. So that's a pretty big. You can say he performed when it mattered, but with his nation, he was just unable to perform. And yeah, he beat, who was it? I think it was, no, it wasn't Costa. They tied against Costa Rica, Paraguay. They beat Paraguay very convincingly, and he scored 2 goals. But he ultimately got sent out, and he wasn't able to play against, who was it? Uruguay. And a lot of people are going to shield him for that because he wasn't on the game, but he wasn't on the game by his choice, pretty much. So it comes down to who I think. Well, it doesn't come. It comes down to what other people think, but who I think had the better season overall. I think Bellingham. I think Bellingham is slightly more favorite than Vinny to win the Ballon d'Or, because it also comes to PR. Bellingham is a very PR. Bellingham has already have a really good PR, and that Euro was very, very solid by him, not by England, by him. So it's a very tough decision to make, but I think one of the two are gonna win it. I'm pretty sure one of the two is gonna win it, and I'm not gonna be angry about any of it or disappointed. They did incredible seasons, and I can't wait for the next season to come with Mbappe as well, with Enrique. it's gonna be a crazy, crazy team to watch, and hopefully whoever doesn't win it this year between Bellingham and Vinny wins it next year or wins it at one point of their career because they are absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible.